6 o'clock. This is a regular call city council meeting, February 9th, 2026, at Jasper City Hall at 6 p.m. And Mr. Mayhall, would you open us in prayer, please?
Father God, we thank you for the many blessings you bestowed upon us. The blessings of being able to live in a town as great as Jasper, with people that is fine people, and we're gifted to be part of that community. We thank you for the blessings you put upon this community of giving us ample resources, ample people, and ample reason. I hope, Father God, that we will be guided tonight in our deliberations as a council to follow our better angels and work toward the improvement and furtherment of this wonderful community. In Jesus' name, amen.
First on, we have a certificate of resignation for the Nehemiah Center. Ms. Christ, would you know what
Pastor Ray Lewis, can you please come forward?
You smell good.
In grateful recognition for your selfless dedication and prompt action in providing emergency shelter during Winter Storm Fern on January the 25th, 2026. Your generosity provided safety and security to our residents in a time of need, demonstrating outstanding community spirit and compassion. Pastor Lewis, thank you for sheltering our residents, not only during Winter Storm Fern, but through hurricanes and other disasters that our city has faced. You truly embody the spirit of being your brother's keeper in our community. At this time, I ask that everyone please join me in a round of applause to honor and show our appreciation.
Yeah.
Maybe I can't see you. Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
Next night, we're gonna have Ms. Kevin Dutton give us a report on our London burger updates.
Council, thank y'all for having us. Thank you for getting me on early. I've got another function I have to go to, so I'm gonna go through this. And I put a copy of the report there on each of y'all's table. Just kind of give you a little bit of an understanding that this is gonna cover the year, the first full year that we had the contract.
Will you go to the mic? I'm sorry.
Oh,
I appreciate it.
I'm not as good when I have to stand still. So, this is gonna cover the first full year, which is from January of 25 through December of 25. And just so you understand, I mean, we're always working a year behind. So this collection report will actually be collection of the 24 and past taxes. And the way that works is, on January the 1st, the property values and ownership is determined and the lien attaches to the property January the 1st of that year. There's a process where you have an opportunity, you get appraisals done, and you get notification of what your probable tax is gonna be, and you have a time to appeal that. That runs into the summer when the list gets certified and it gets sent to y'all so you can make your budgets and you can turn those over to the tax collector, and they start collecting in October. And they collect pretty much from October till July, but in February the 1st, or the first Monday if the first falls on a weekend, is the delinquent date. And they have until that date to pay without penalty and interest. And they're notified of this previously. They start accumulating penalties and interest February, March, April. In May, they get another notice letter letting them know that if they don't pay before July the 1st, on July the 1st, there'll be an additional collection penalty added to their tax bill. That collection penalty is what y'all have agreed to pay us for collecting delinquent taxes, so that you never lose any of the taxes and penalty and interest that you're entitled to. The taxpayer has to pay us. We get it on July the 1st, and we're getting the taxes from the year before. So this past July, we just got the 2025 taxes, and that's what we're working on right now. So I say all that to kind of give you an idea of how that cycle works, and why we're basically a year behind. I'm talking to y'all in 26 about what happened in 25, but I'm actually talking to you about numbers in 24. So when we get it in July, the first thing we do is analyze. We get a roll, just a list of all the delinquent taxpayers for the city. And we get that and we analyze it. We analyze it in multiple factors. First thing we have to determine is it something that we can collect? Because there are certain properties that we cannot do collections on. Y'all don't have very many of them, but bankruptcies is one. The federal law prevents any type of debt collection against somebody that has filed bankruptcy. The other one is if a person is over the age of 65 or disabled and it's their homestead, they can request from the Central Appraisal District a deferral. That deferral means they don't have to pay their taxes until that deferral ends, or they take it off by moving, by selling the property, or by passing away. That is not their taxes aren't erased, and their property continues to accrue taxes and penalties and interest, although the penalties and interest are at a lesser rate because they have the deferral. It's more of a delayed payment. We're gonna collect that property, we're gonna collect those taxes at some point in time. Usually, and unfortunately in most cases, it's an over 65, and when they pass away, that deferral ends. That person's heirs has 180 days to pay the reduced amount owed with the reduced penalty and interest. If they don't pay within that 180 days, all the penalties and interest that would have accrued had there not been a deferral get added back to it, and then we collect it at that point. Right now, and there's a pie chart at the back, we'll kind of go over it, but right now, y'all's deferrals are about 22% of your roll. So whenever we get it, there's a little over a fifth of it that we can't even send them letters. I mean, we can take no action to collect those at all. But we'll get it, we do that analysis. The second analysis we do is we take it and we put that list in an order from top dollar down. And the reason we do that is y'all want us to focus on the higher numbers. Now, that's not always true. Derek has done a great job, y'all's code enforcement officer, on identifying properties that have grown up or they're not getting mowed, that the city's having to take care of. I think we ended up tearing down the old Cedar Tree Restaurant, the building itself, to make that property more presentable. And he's done a real good job of identifying to us particular properties he wants us to focus on for the tax purposes, so that we can get a judgment or a tax warrant and get it to a sale, so that somebody can get it and get it back on the tax roll and get somebody actively paying the taxes. And he really has done a great job of communicating with us and getting that taken care of. But we work it from a top dollar down. We're gonna focus our attention on these higher ones because that's more money to the city if we can get those collected. The mailings go out to everybody that's not on the deferral list. And we mail 5 or 6 times a year. We send letters of increasing increasing penalties. You know, we'll send out a notice of tax lien, a notice of foreclosure, a notice of intent to sue, a notice of seizure. And one of the things that I find amazing is they can get the letter from the tax collector, and they can get the next letter, and they don't pay, and they get a letter from a lawyer, and they'll come pay. And you know, the next step after that is we have to, when the mailings go out, we get a lot of return mail because the address wasn't good or they no longer live there. And so a lot of our efforts is spent in skip tracing. And we spend a lot of our money acquiring data to do that skip tracing. In fact, I looked at a brochure that we send out to potential clients that list our staff, and we have more IT people than we have lawyers. So I jokingly say we're an IT firm that has lawyers that collect taxes, but that's how much of our time is spent focused on the skip tracing and trying to find the people so that we can get them served, so that we can take possession of the property if we need to seize it. And y'all got about an equal amount of that. It's around 22 or 23%. The pie chart will tell you exactly. So, you know, those aren't uncollectible, those are hard to collect. And so we're breaking down so that we know exactly who we need to focus on and where we're gonna be able to get y'all's delinquent collections from. If the letters don't work, then we file lawsuits. This year, we filed 6 new cases, and one of the reasons that number sounds kind of low is we have done a lot of collecting through the letters and through our phone call process. But there's 37 pending suits. We inherited quite a few lawsuits from the prior firm, and we've been working to get rid of those older suits. So we haven't filed as many new ones as you'll see in the next report we give y'all. You'll see that number go up because we do have a set number. We kind of have an algorithm that we use when we get the target roll and make a determination as how many lawsuits we need to effectively file to pursue y'all's cases. Another thing, in addition to lawsuits, you heard me mention that we have tax warrant abilities, and we have issued some tax warrants. We've done 2 this year or last year, in which we go to the court and say, Judge, this person's been delinquent this many years, the house has been vacant for this many years, we need a tax warrant. And that allows us to go in, he'll sign an order, and that allows us to go in and seize that property without going through the whole process of a lawsuit. But it has to meet certain qualifications. It has to have been abandoned for I believe it's 5 years, and they have to owe at least 2 years of delinquent taxes. And I may have those numbers flip-flop. Mr. Jasper hasn't stood up and corrected me, so I must be pretty close to accurate. And it has to be less than an acre of land. So we use those a lot on the properties that Derek has pointed out to us if they meet those qualifications. Once we file a lawsuit, work begins making sure that we have solid title. We run the title so that we find out who to sue, but we've got to make sure that we have every potential owner of that property. And you'll see, I put in here, Sarah put in here the top 25, that's the top of y'all's list. And I'll get to that page in just a minute because I kind of want to go over some of the notes that we put on there. Once we get it in the lawsuit and we determine we've got a good title so that if we end up having to sell this piece of property, the buyer has title to the property. We don't guarantee that, y'all don't guarantee that, but we know we're giving them the title. That's very important because we don't want to come back 5 years down the road and have somebody say, well, I never got served with process and I own an interest in this, and we've got to go back and undo it and give them their money back. So that is a very important part of the work that we do as a law firm. Once we get it in there and we get the title, if it hasn't been paid, we take it to judgment. We get a judgment and then we get it set for a sale. At any time, that person can pay, and we've had them pay on the courthouse steps, so to speak, as we were getting ready to sell the piece of property. And so, I mean, every one of these steps is designed to collect taxes. Y'all don't wanna be in the property selling business, and we don't wanna be in the property selling business, but it is a tool that we have to use in order to collect the taxes that y'all do and owe. Right now, we have 37 pending lawsuits in an attempt to collect $54,000 in taxes, penalty, and interest. We've taken judgments that are awaiting sale that in 21 lawsuits, that's for $27,000, so hopefully we'll get those to sale. I put a page in here that if you go to our website, you can see that our tax sales, we put notice of them on our website, and these are some properties from Jasper that we've got listed that are gonna be going up for sale. And that kinda takes us to the page I talked to y'all about. It's page 5. It's the top 25 accounts that y'all have. And if you go through there and look, the first one, and I'm not gonna mention any names in public comments, but the first one is in suit. We've got a lawsuit filed, but due to the nature of the business, there's some EPA concerns right now, and it's property that we won't be able to sell. So we're kind of waiting for that to resolve itself before we take a judgment on it. But if you notice, the next two are deferrals, and those are large accounts. We've got one where we're in the process. We've sent the citations to the constable's office to get the people served. So we have a lawsuit. The next two, deferral. Number 7 was paid. Deferral. You can see the service pending. You can see updating the title. What that means is that's an older lawsuit. So title was ran back when that lawsuit was filed, and it was researched. But now we've picked it up, and we want to make sure that something hasn't changed. Maybe they sold the property in the interim for cash, and there was no title no title ran at that time. So we have to go back and make sure nothing's changed from that prior title search. I was trying to see if there was something in here. I wanted you to show you number 15. It's in suit, and we actually have a judgment. But then they filed a deferral. So we can't, when they file that deferral, even if we've already taken a judgment, we can't put that property up for sale. We can't do any type of collection proceedings at all. So this kind of gives you an idea of where we're at on the top 25 and what we're doing. And the majority of them are either paid, deferral, or they have a lawsuit pending on them right now. And so we're really working y'all's accounts. Page 6 is that pie chart that I showed you about. And the thing that I think is interesting there is about 35%, a little less than 35% of your cases, we have judgments on. And except for the ones that have deferrals, those are ones that we're going to be taking to tax sale pretty quickly. Got 22 in deferral, less than 1% in bankruptcy, so that's the reason I didn't really cover that. 21.8 in return mail, that's the ones we're doing the skip tracing on, and then 21% are in suit. So we're actively pursuing y'all's target role and doing a good job. I did want to direct your attention to the top of that page. For 2024, in your delinquent taxes, this isn't the current taxes that you base your budget on, but in delinquent taxes, we collected $88,640 for y'all over that first year. So almost an extra $100,000, and I anticipate that when we start working our cases, that number will go up. In conclusion, I just, again, want to say thank you for hiring us. We really enjoy working for you guys. I know a lot of you personally, and I really like this job because I went from a job as a DA where I was in this governmental thing of helping people. In this job, I feel like I have the same thing, but I get to work for a multitude of counties and cities, and still I'm doing work for y'all, for the city, for the schools, for the counties, helping them help the people. And I know you guys do a great job for your citizens, and it's appreciated. I did want to talk to you for a minute because y'all also hired us to work your fines and fees for your municipal court. Due to some technical issues, Tyler Technology had their personnel that covers y'all was out for several months and unable to communicate with us or with y'all on getting the programs linked up so that we can do the interface and start getting data from y'all so we can begin our collection process. Right now, we've just been informed that all the programming is done. We're waiting, and I believe y'all are waiting on Tyler Technology to get with Jessica to institute a training program to show her how to pull the data so that we can get it and start making our mailings. I talked to Maricela, who works with y'all. She's our client liaison that works y'all city, and she told me that she anticipates if we can get this training done within a week, 2 at the most, we'll be getting data and sending out mailings. And I can tell you, because about 6 months before y'all hired us, Tenahall, the city of Tenahall, small little Tenahall, hired us to do it. And I ran into their judge at a conference, and she just was amazed at the phone calls and letters that they were getting. And so I'm hoping y'all are gonna share the same type of success, and I know you will, because that's just the history that we've had. And you're gonna be amazed at the income that hiring our tool is using us as a tool to help your collection. And I know I went over this with you, but there's some new faces here. With the fines and fees, it's the same process as with the delinquent tax. The statutes of Texas add our collection penalty to the fines that they owe, so the delinquent fine person pays our fee. Y'all lose none of your revenue by hiring us to do that. So we're a tool that Judge Jackson and his staff can use in addition to all the other tools, the warrants and everything else. But we're gonna be very effective, and I hope to give y'all a great report next time I'm before you after we've had some time doing that. Any questions, any comments? Anything y'all want me to do different?
If I may, the delinquent fines and fees, it has been quite some time since those were collected by the city before we hired you guys, correct?
Well, y'all did in-house collecting. And in that, you had certain state tools that you were able to use, I think through the driver's license and through warrant roundups and things like that. And they're effective tools also. And they're not tools that you have to stop using because you hired us, but I think what your staff's gonna find is that they're not even gonna have to worry about it after that. We're gonna basically get all your collections. And y'all have some delinquents. I mean, I think that we're gonna benefit y'all in a way that y'all are gonna be amazed.
Absolutely, thank you so much.
No problem.
I'd like to thank you too, and I also tell you I appreciate $88,000.
Well, like I said, I'm hoping that once it's hard as a lawyer to step into a case that some other lawyer filed and work it and get it done. Ma'am, I say it's hard. It's just, you didn't do it from the start, so you have to learn the file, plus you have to pick it up and finish the work that they started. Next year, you're gonna see a lot more of our work in our cases, and I'm hoping that number's gonna be much higher. All right? Well, thank y'all very much, and I'm gonna ask that I be excused so that I can attend this other function. It's also a Jasper County function, so I'm gonna. Yes, sir.
No.
Oh, okay. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Next up is department report.
Good evening, this is the library's report for January. We signed up 20 new patrons with library cards. We circulated 1,247 items of our physical books, ebooks, and audio visuals. We had 155 users to our computer lab in January, and we had an estimated 1,302 visits to the library. As far as programming goes, we held 9 programs in January with a total monthly attendance of 87. We added a new program called the Kid Librarian, which is to help kids celebrate and share their love of reading, while also helping them to develop a sense of ownership at the library. Our outreach continued in January with a speaking event at the Jasper Retired Teachers Association, where I gave an overview as to our current library operations and our future projects. Are there any questions? Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Mayor, Council. The Public Works Department, water production, we pumped and treated a total of 37,566,000 gallons of water. We repaired 10 water leaks, 2 service taps, and installed 34 water meters. The wastewater treatment plant treated a total of 26,376,000 gallons of water. Sewer collection department had a total of 24 sewer calls, a lot of preparation for the ice storms, getting generators ready and all that. All our crews spent days and weeks getting ready for the ice storm, and just installing or checking lift stations and various things for that storm. Street and drainage used 10 tons of cold patch for pothole repair, swept half a mile of city street right-of-ways, slope mowed 3/4 of a mile of street right-of-ways, used 70 bags of ice melt and 12 tons of pea gravel to put on bridges and sidewalk stuff for the ice storm. We also, the new construction department started the fencing at Jamesburg Park today. We're tearing the old fence down, we get ready to put the new fence up and a flagpole.
Yeah.
So,
Flagpole. Did you say the flagpole?
the flagpole will be up.
Yeah, we
soon.
been waiting on it.
We got it in last week. Any questions?
Just a comment, y'all did a great job.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
And I know a lot of people appreciated the limb pickup.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We give a report for the right-of-way in our light fire department. So for the month of January, the right-of-way department trimmed out 400 feet of service wire to the house. They trimmed out 5,130 feet of primary wire. They also mulched or bush hogged 1,790 feet of right-of-way. They didn't work on any of the road right-of-way this time. They cut 5 green trees and hauled off. They cut down 15 dead trees and hauled off this month. They also hauled off 689 cubic yards of brush, either residents, calling in, hauling, or stuff that we've cut. They also hauled off 2 cubic yards of bags of leaves, and then they had 11 miscellaneous work orders for the month. So in our light and fire, you asked that, we give a report on our outages. I think I need to clarify something on our outages, that some of our outages are not actually outages, they're a trouble call, but the way our computers are at City Hall, we kind of group them all together as an outage. So for this month, we had 35 outages that we responded to, or let's say a trouble call. 3 of those were the 3 days that we worked on the storm stuff. So if you want me to go over all those reports of the outages, I can. We can talk about any of them that you want to talk about. But did y'all have all the ones that we done for the month? The other thing that they did, they connected 4 new services. They disconnected 5 services for upgrades. Then they reconnected 8 services after upgrades. They, disconnected 4 services that were permanent disconnect, they were maybe tearing down the house or whatever. They had no new security lights for the month, and they repaired 9 security lights, and they repaired 1 street light. Relocated, 16 times for underground locates, people digging around our wire and stuff. We had 1 rotten pole change out for the month, and then they had 6 miscellaneous work orders, and, there were 73 non-payments that they worked. Like I said, if there's any of the outages y'all wanna discuss, or the outages of the ice storm or whatever, we can go over.
I actually just had a comment. I want to tell everyone and all the citizens that are listening, please check your lines. Please follow your line from where your home is, all the way out to the pole, and see if there are limbs hanging over the line. We had a tree behind my house. I had no idea that the limb was over the line. And when the ice storm came, the limb fell, the tree fell. It fell on my house, it ripped the service out. I had no idea that there was a limb even over the line. And cause, we don't pay attention, I'm sure just the average person doesn't pay attention, to limbs that are over the line. And it is so important to please check your lines. Please call Mr. Kelly and let him know if there are any limbs that need to be cut, because this is what, from what I understand, caused a lot of these outages. These limbs are very heavy. I help move them, my girls and I help Sammy move them, and they're very heavy, and you wanna have the limbs cut before it gets cold, before you don't have electricity, and it is extremely cold outside, so please check your limbs. And Mr. Kelly, if you would you speak a little bit for a couple of seconds to the plan that you guys had here at the city for the winter storm, just so our citizens are aware that there absolutely was a plan by the city of Jasper for the storm.
The 4 days notice we really had, they started talking about the storm the weekend before, we was all watching it. And I'm on National Weather Service. Most cities and the counties, emergency management are on that. And we said if it's a week or so out, you do 1-day briefings. If when it gets closer to it coming, you get sometimes 2, 3, 4-day briefings if it's a hurricane or something. So once that starts, Lee and Bob and several of the supervisors, Wade Peak and different ones, we get together and meet about it. And then we're a member of the Texas Public Power Association. All the municipal owned cities are members of that. And we sat on a conference call with them on that Wednesday too, I did. And then they produced a list of all the cities out there that has crews available to come help. So we know before a hurricane gets there, before like this ice storm, because like the crews that's up in the Dallas area that have big crews that can come down and help from other cities, they have their own problems, more ice and snow and stuff up there. So we had a list from more Central and West Texas that would come over here, and that's New Braunfels. They've been here several times. And so Lee had already talked to them twice during that time. And so when the ice storm first hit, ice storm's different, tornado, hurricane, and stuff like that. When a tornado, hurricane comes through, it destroys and it's gone. It don't get no bigger. Ice, as long as it stays on the trees until it melts, you continue to have breakings. So that first day when the electric department went home, we figured we had about 25% of our customers out to begin with. And we figured we had it down to about 10 to 12% that first night. When we come back the crews worked 16 hours that day. Went home and they got about 7 hours sleep and come back.
We were back at
6 that morning. And we had roughly 22, 23% of outages again. So that's when we decided to call an extra crews. By them coming in, New Braunfels, that was 2 more crews, 2 4-man crews. We have 2 4-man crews. So that doubled our production. So rather than being Thursday or late Friday before the fire come back on, that's how we was able to get fire on Wednesday. So that's kind of our plan. And that's for every big storm, no matter if hurricane or not, we go through some of those same process. For Public Works, all of our generators, we have 33 generators, I believe. They keep them, they check them monthly. They go through a monthly checklist to make sure they're full of diesel, everything working on them. Before these storms, they go actually run them. Spend a lot of time making sure all your lift stations, taking care of all the water wells and that kind of stuff, provide We also put our crews, the water department and the street department, on 24 hours a day. They come in, you got half the crew works during the day and half at night, and they're actually out putting out ice melt and rock on the street department, and the water crews are out checking the water wells and all this stuff and making sure they're not giving us any problems. That way, if we do, they can fix it where y'all don't lose water. So I'm very proud that even during winter storm, what was it, Uri, they called it, back a few years ago, TCEQ called me a couple of days later and said, Mr. Kelly, we're gonna put y'all under enforcement for not doing a ball water hose. I said, we didn't need to do a ball water hose. You didn't. I said, we didn't lose water pressure. And she said, well, there's only two entities in all of East Texas that didn't go on the ball water hose. City of Jasper and Lumberton Mud. And I know the Lumberton Mud's director down there, and they do the same thing we do. We put the crews on 24 hours a day to make sure we try to get the best for our citizens. So that's kind of some of our preparations we do for most every storm.
So once you guys have restored power, limbs continue to fall, is what you're saying. I just think it's very important for citizens to understand this, and that's why you had electricity, and then your electricity went out. That's why, because limbs continue to fall.
Tuesday, our right-of-way department started at 96 at the old highway there on 96 South, goes down by the animal shelter, and on 96 going south. They worked all day Tuesday, clearing those lines out where they could come in Wednesday morning first thing and straighten the power on. When they left Tuesday night, it was all clear, ready for the bucket trucks to get in there. Had 2 more trees fall that night and take down the other spots and break stuff, just because the ice was still out there.
And just one more thing, I think it's also important for citizens to understand that the electric department here at the city of Jasper is very small. And the reason for that is because it keeps the costs down, that our customers pay for electricity. So because the crew is small, they need to call people in from New Braunfels, from these other places when we have a disaster.
Correct.
So this is to help the customers. That's the reason that they call people in. I just think it's important for the citizens to understand the process.
Correct.
Well, also, keeps us from having, if we stay here and work on ourselves, we're gonna have 4 or 5 days of everybody being out. With bringing in other people, that shortens that, outage times on them, trying to get it fixed. Especially when it's cold, or even when it's hot, people are really suffering, through some of this stuff.
Can you, tell us about the power outage from March the 7th?
From March the 7th?
The fire outage coming up with.
March, Entergy is going to be replacing their metering equipment in the Jason substation, which is on the uphill side of the substation. So for them they gotta take it all off the line, which is gonna include that outage, and they're gonna change in, and it's big things, as tall as this room in there. You're gonna have to get a crane in there to change the stuff out, which is gonna pretty much involve a 5-hour outage.
5 hours.
5-hour outage on that.
That's weather pretty.
Yes, weather pretty. And I'll go back to the couple of calls that we do. Like I said, I didn't clarify maybe the last meeting, that some of the calls that we do make are not actually an outage. They are, they get called out in the middle of the night to go to a line that's down on the ground. Well, it may not even be ours. We get there and it's a telephone cable or a TV cable or something like that, but we still have to go, and respond to that. And then a lot of times they'll go for, it's an outage, but it's actually on the homeowner side of it. And they got bad breakthroughs and stuff like that, but we still respond to stuff like that.
Lee, I'd like to, comment, 18 hours my electricity was off. I'm grateful it wasn't longer. I went out and watched your service people working. Please let them know how much I appreciate what they did out there in the cold, freezing. They were out there for hours, and I was out there for 10 minutes. Wow. So please tell them how much we appreciate it.
Yes, sir, I will. Any other questions? Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I am with the municipal court to give y'all the month of January's report. We had 42 new traffic citations filed. We had 60 cases completed. 21 of those 42 went before our judge. 7 of those were arraigned They had went to jail and were magistrated by our judge. We had one case that was dismissed for a defensive driving course. We had 5 that were deferred dismissals that completed their deferred probation. And we had 11 prosecutor dismissals, which include deceased or it was out of statute of limitations. We had 32 warrants issued, 31 warrants that were cleared for the month, and then we collected $12,912 for the month. And to go back to what Mr. Dutton was saying, I went to a seminar last week, followed up, had dinner with them. Our training will be within the next 2 weeks for the new collection module. So we finally have all of that in place, ready to go. Like he said, one of their personnel was out for several months, so it kind of slid behind the burner. So within the next couple of weeks, we should be fully trained and up and operating. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Council Mayor. This is the January report. This is the January report for the sanitation department. We had trash carts we ordered in October come in, which was 100 of them. We completed 8 work orders for can and dumpster replacements. We hauled 39 loads to the landfill that equal to 780 tons. And we also replaced a tarp on one of our long haul trailers that's what wore out. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, Council. For the police department, for the month of January, we had a total of 1,067 total calls for service. As far as offense reports, we had a total of right at 100 for the month. Arrests for the month, we had a total of 46 total. We had 10 traffic crashes in the city limits. We had 340 traffic stops, with 42 being citations and 295 being warnings. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the month of January, the fire department answered 41 calls. Of those calls, 1 was a structure fire, 8 grass, brush, tree, woods fires, 8 motor vehicle accidents, 3 appliance fires, 1 equipment fire, had 2 active fire alarms, 4 false alarms, 2 hazmat calls, 9 severe weather calls, and 3 other service calls. And pumped over 10,100 gallons of water.
Or was there any kind of burn ban?
Not yet,
Not yet.
not yet.
It seemed like they're trying to burn down East Texas.
It doesn't take long for the fire to get out. I mean, if you leave it, you turn your back on it, it's gone. You gotta be standing there watching it, or if you are standing there watching it, it still can get out. It's that dry.
Did you mention to me today about, fire going underground and smoldering for a long period of time?
Yes, sir.
People need to watch that.
Right. Any more questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the code enforcement January report, we issued 14 commercial permits, 25 residential, for a total of 39. Total permit fees collected was a little over 7,500. 2 jump cars, code enforcement, vegetation and debris, we had 10. We have a whole pile of dilapidated and abandoned structures to go over later, but we also did have we had a total of 5 either COs or TCOs, temporary certificate of occupancies, applied for and issued for the month of January. We have several that are pending. Of those COs that were issued, we had 7 plan reviews for commercial properties, which will be forthcoming, and 6 pre-development meetings. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. I think that's all of our departments, is that correct?
That's for somebody here from Digital.
Well, Bill,
That's right.
Bill had to take us, but we got Tom signed up on public comments, so, and he can fill us in.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared
I know he
with
went
the
there.
information for the report, but, everything's going fairly smoothly right now. We are, again, good evening. Everything Jedco is going pretty smoothly right now. We had, my primary deal that we've been working on is getting forward movement on our audit. We had quite a bit of data that had to be provided to get the auditor the information they needed. I think we've finally surmised as much as that they wanted and needed for the audit, and it will be completed before the end of March. Next meeting y'all have, I think, we'll have a report on that. That was important because it would be a hindrance to y'all's future tax issues if that Jedco audit was late. So, anyway, that's done. We do have, a couple of very interesting things going on right now. I will say that there is one, you have to understand, we deal with people who are making proposals. And one aspect of economic development is that, when they're making a proposal, they quite often require a degree of confidentiality because they don't want to start a bidding war between 2 or 3 local areas, that are subject to receiving notice on that. One of them from the governor's office is potentially a very large project. Ultimately, in the next 5 years, according to their projections, they may have as many as 2,000 employees. So we are taking very careful notice of everything that we have been told to respond to. We expect a site visit for the airport and industrial park in March. Once they've been here and we've had a chance to have face-to-face with them, we probably will know more. And hopefully we can have maybe even an executive session to talk about real estate. So that's it. And then the other thing is the Spectre Aeronautical Company here is, we're redoing their lease for another, I think, when was it, 20 years. Very successful, and I think that we can look forward to a lot more improvements in their operations, and that we're very proud to have them here. They have employed 20 certified aircraft mechanics. That's kind of a rarity for this part of the world, and so they have a group of airplanes standing in line right now for servicing. We see quite a bit of corporate aircraft now coming in and out of the airport, and some of them even have problems more or less of emergency nature to go over to Spectre and have those problems resolved by their mechanics. And so those are some bright spots on the future. So we look forward to seeing a lot more of that coming down the line. The president and the state's initiatives for industrial growth are now beginning to drift down to our levels, particularly in regards to aeronautics. And they're looking at primarily airports, small general service airports that don't have high commercial traffic, that can be dealing with more or less experimental aircraft. Just about any aircraft that's developed is called experimental. So that
won't be something out of Buck Rogers or anything like that, but it'd be new styles of airplanes. But there are companies that are all looking at locations to build a hangar and start some light manufacturing for those types of activities. The other one is, high tech. If you follow the environmental news, everybody west of us is running out of water. The high tech are big water users. Data centers and silicon production for, cells, chips, factories. Those are all big, expensive operations and employ a lot of people and does require a lot more technical skills. One goal that I would have to suggest to the Economic Development Corporation is that we pay close attention to trying to get technical college here in Jasper that could address those two key areas. Texas State Technical College would be one that I would be looking at. So that's about it.
Thank you, John. Anybody have any questions? Okay, we're gonna move down to the consent agenda, consider for approval. We're gonna do 1 and 2 together. First, sets the minutes of regular call meeting for January the 12th, 2026. And also the police department racial profiling report.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. Consider for approval, number 3, consider for approval Tom McClure, Shonda Johnson, Ross Horn to the JEDCO board, direction to fill vacant positions. Any discussion before we have a motion? Do we have a motion?
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, now a discussion and approval.
I think that the candidates that have been offered up, and more than one person up here has offered these names up, are good candidates, well qualified, well suited for the job, and we're doing an excellent job. And I appreciate the recommendation for the candidates. I think that we'll be well served by them, as you and I discussed previously.
I'm gonna go with no. Shannon declined out.
She did not reply to me 2 days ago.
May I be recognized? I would just like to do a little small review on the issue with the board members at JEDCO. So after multiple lists, canceled meetings, and agenda items repeated time and again, a new JEDCO board was appointed unanimously by this council on July the 28th, 2025. At the August 15th, 2025 council meeting, when I asked you, Mr. Mahar, if you regretted your vote to approve the new board, you stated, quote, "I am rather ashamed that I voted yes in the affirmative of that. I feel that I have somewhat dishonored myself for that, and to the people present, I apologize. Now the question is, do we have a legal and honorable board? In my opinion, the answer is no," unquote. You made that comment about a board that you yourself chose 3 people to serve on. Since that time, 2 of the 3 people that you appointed have resigned. 2 of the 3 people that Mr. Hildebrand appointed also resigned. You spend many hours weekly at the JEDCO building with others, though you are not board members, creating a hostile work environment for JEDCO employees. At the January 12th City Council meeting, you interrupted the meeting multiple times against council rules and procedures and attempted to appoint myself, the interim director of JEDCO, and 2 others, even though they were not on the agenda, and it was against Open Meeting Act laws. When your motion died for lack of a second, you and Mr. Hildebrand attempted to adjourn the city council meeting, even though we had an important executive session on the agenda. When that also failed, you argued that it was a conflict of interest for me to serve on the board, when you know that is not true and you had just attempted to appoint me 3 minutes beforehand. You voted against my appointment along with Mr. Hildebrand, but I was appointed anyway. Now tonight, you have placed the same 3 people on the agenda for our meeting requesting that they be appointed. I strongly encourage my fellow council members to vote against this. Your behavior, in my opinion, indicates that you wish to obstruct the JEDCO board, and it is an embarrassment to yourself and to this council to continue this. I implore you, Mr. Mahar, to focus on the job that you were elected to do for District 2, and stop interfering and obstructing our local economic development board. Our citizens want to move forward, and they deserve better than this.
Any further discussion?
Call the vote.
All in favor? All opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed.
All right, item number 4 and number 5, approval variances. Jim, can you give us a report on that, please?
First one that you have on the agenda is for 1974 Oak Grove Drive from Ms. Beth Morris. She essentially is trying to attempt to do the same thing that we approved the variance for last meeting. She had a carport there. It was removed because it dilapidated for storm damage, and she wants to rebuild it back. We ran it through the department sign-off sheet, and we found no issue with any type of right-of-way or easement encroachments. We recommend that you approve this variance.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I say, wait a second.
We have a motion and a second. On the variance. 1974 Oak Grove Drive. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
The next one that you have on your list is 4935 Isidore Road for Ms. Shanika Lee. She had an existing piece of property, just an off-shade property, just so happens that it's on a corner lot. So when you have a corner lot that abuts 2 city streets, you have double setbacks for the front and the side. The way that her property is positioned, and when we helped her obtain her 911 address, it was addressed obviously off of Isidore Road. And for her to place that structure where it faces it, use the existing driveway off of Isidore Road, she's gonna encroach into that side setback. Now, I verified through the streets department that did not encroach into the city right of way. And when we did that, there was about 2 feet that did, but luckily, that's gonna be on the hitch, and it's gonna be removed for them to be permanently installed. So after we ran through the checks again, we do recommend that you approve this variance.
I make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, item number 6. Public hearing to determine whether the structures located at the properties described below are in violation of the Jasper Code Section 6301, City Ordinance, Chapter 27, Section 27-9.4, 27-9.5, and 27-9.6, Texas Local Government Code 114.001. Therefore, constitute a public nuisance and or dangerous or dilapidated structures. Mr. Billy. I'm gonna read all these,
Yes, sir.
and we are deciding if these properties are in violation of the covenant, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That's the way it goes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So all I need to do is read it.
You read them off, yes, sir.
You wanna do that for me?
Would you- I can.
Well, is it legal? I mean, I
I
don't.
mean, the important thing here is that the city's put on notice. So
Okay.
if I need to read them off, I can read them off. If you wanna read them off, you can read them off.
I don't mind reading them, I just wanted to understand them forward.
Yep, we're reading these off. But this is all for notice purposes so that we keep a clean record and, make doing everything above the books.
Go for it.
You want me to read them?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So you got through the first part. Okay. A, Dent May Senior, 950 Fred Street, PID 36898MH. B, Dent May Senior, 950 Fred Street, PID 6900, One House, 1 MH. Dent May Senior, Fred Street, street number not listed, PIO 36915-2 MH, lot 15, block 2, Garland Smith 92, 32, then 0.132 acres. Dent May Senior, 856 South Main Street, 2 MH. Dent May Senior, 159 Cabin Street, MH. Dent May Senior, PID 14311570 Mayo Road. Dent May Senior, 722 Carter Street, MH. Dent May Senior, 106 and 108 Seal Street, 2 MH. Edward Mays, 2075 Fletcher Street, PID 18557. William O. 3 and Santi Jones, 386 Olive Street, MH. Collins Jones Jr., 1967 Bowie Street, MH. Herbert Lewis Barlow, L. Barlow, 510 Dennis Drive, MH. Lily Mae Little Estate, 1419 North Bowie Street, MHPID 9366. Lily and John Cawley, 242 East MLK Boulevard, MH. Wayne Noble, 315 Stewart Street, MH. Michael Ray Adams, 300 Stewart Street, MH. Sam Adams Estate, PID 10098. About 158 TOHS Green TR, 0.3 acres. Salvador and Tina Majarez, 522 Birch Street, MH. Wendell Smith, 1878 and 1880 Jones Drive, MH. Morris Boatner, attention, Cecil Boatner, Jones Street. Street number not listed, PID 5062 MH, lot 16 Stewart Art, CE 1972, 12 by 44, 801-987.17 acres. Glenn Betty Jr., attention, Teresa Collins, 1279 East MLK Boulevard, MH. Carl Stratton, 1243 Leela Street, MH. Michael Ray Adams, Hopkins Street, number not listed, PID 1036-2MH-AB2 J&O Bevel, 12X44 2 motorhomes 396 and 310, 2.58 acres.
Okay, that gets all that. And the next one, is this for the approval of going forward with?
You have to have the public hearing first.
Have to have a public
That's what
hearing.
we just went over. So if anyone wants to speak now, let's do a public hearing.
So if there's anyone here that the mayor just listed and you would like to speak, they need to come forward and speak, correct?
Yes.
Is there anyone here?
All right, now, no public address on that, so. Number 7, consider for approval, declare the structure at the property listed below to be in violation of section 27-9.2 through 27-9.5, not removed from the city limits of Jasper, or its secretarial jurisdiction by the mobile homeowner property owner after receiving complaints notices per section 6-308, and given 60 days for removal shall be removed by the city after a hearing with the city council under the same procedures used for the approval of dangerous buildings. Billy, would you do that one again?
Yes, one moment, Mayor.
Let me ask a quick question, Mr. Mayor. Is there anyone in here that is intimately familiar with any one of these properties? Guys, I have a question about the property at 386 Olive Street.
Or letter? Which one is it?
And here's why I'm asking. Is this the property at the intersection of Olive and Deep Street?
It is.
It is? Is that the same mobile home that they've just about
Yes.
removed themselves?
Well, to answer that question, let me just say this too. We read off all of these that we have posted notice,
Yeah.
and some of them we have gotten notification back from a property owner or a vested interest.
Okay.
We already went on ahead, and I believe there's five that we've gotten an agreement of someone to permit to remove them. Now, and just making sure that we followed all the process. If for some reason that demo stops, we're not gonna have to backtrack over and do this again.
Sure.
Just because we read this off does not mean that they are not working on it. We have had some people work with us on this.
Correct. Good deal.
Jeremy, while we got you up here on number 6, I think we need to determine whether or not they are, in violation of those codes. Yes or no?
Yes, the public hearing, is that officially over now?
The public hearing is now, nobody's spoken about any of these properties, so yes, I would determine that the public hearing is officially over.
Okay, so moving on to the proper action of it. In case you're not familiar with it, just a little refresher on this particular part. Once we read off every one of these and the council has the determination or has the power to determine these structures in violation, it then creates another notice that will go out. If you deem any one or all of these structures to be in violation, then we go out and we will send notification again through the same channels and post the property that they have 30 days to adhere to this. Now, in that 30 days, we can go ahead and we will start arranging for roll-offs, crews to go ahead and take that down, maybe even get with some of our attorneys for the lien purposes, because we're gonna be placing it on them. But it starts that wheel in motion. They do have, anyone has the right to that appeal, so we do have to wait unless somebody, the city mayor, city manager, or anyone in council determines that any one of those structures could be an imminent threat to public life and safety, in which case we can step in immediately and take it down. So that's what we're reading this off for. That's what will happen over the course of the next 30 days, should any one or all of these be determined by the council to be in violation. So do we need to read off every one of these again?
No, I just believe that we need to make for number 6, we need to make determination. Wouldn't that require a vote?
Well, they're already determined in code enforcement to be in violation. It is just simply the council's moving forward with the notification of.
And that takes us to number 7.
Okay, it takes us to number 7.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't skipping any steps and we were doing everything how we were supposed to do it. So thank you for explaining that.
Excuse me, if I can make a comment. The ones that are working with you to clean up these properties, I know you said that way you don't have to backtrack, but if they're working to do this, to clean up these properties, I don't feel good about going forward to the people who are trying to do what you've asked them to do.
Well, they were made aware, this is, if you wanna take any one of these off, we can do that. It's just a simple deal on our end. We always sign a waiver and also an agreement, a rehabilitation agreement for whatever case, whether it's the property or the structure to be rehabilitated. That does not stop me or Brandon from taking that and filing that, because we do have to make notice with the attorneys that we use on our lien, when we place our liens. And we also have to make that note at the courthouse, should we have to take it a step further. It doesn't mean that anyone is doing anything wrong, or that we're not working with them, or that they're, we don't trust them to do it. It's just that we are trying to make sure that everything is being followed by the ordinance. But you certainly have it in your discretion to remove any one of these items.
don't think that you're saying that anyone's doing anything wrong or that you're doing anything wrong. My point was only the ones that are working with you to clean up the property. I don't feel good about going forward with putting a lien or taking their property if they are trying to do what you asked them to do. Those 5 that you spoke of earlier.
Well, we don't have to. It just gives us the authority to if we should go forward. We have to step in. If we're, say, for example, if someone says, yes, I'll take this down, but say they get sick or they're trying to do it themselves and they run out of financial means to do it or to haul it, well, they're gonna come back to us and go, hey, can we enter into one of those agreements again? Can the city step in and do something? Well, of course, we'll come in and we'll try to do our best to help them, but then we have to go back through this process again if we do not deem it through council now to be a dangerous or dilapidated structure, which we're okay to do. That's fine. It's just to your discretion of how you would like to do that.
And if, Jeremy, if they come, pardon me, if they come and ask for our help, if that situation does arise.
Yeah, there's no penalty for that. We'll step right in and we'll of course, step right in and get that paperwork and get them back on track. I mean, well, as long as scheduling and, of course, weather allow, but yeah, that doesn't deter us one bit.
Okay. Okay, so we'll move on.
Yes, do you want me to read them? I'm sorry.
I don't mind. Have you already read number 7, Mayor?
Yes.
No.
Okay. I think you read number 7, and if you'd like me to read the list again, then I don't mind doing that either.
Consider, excuse me, consider for approval, declare destruction of the properties listed below to be in violation of section 27-9.2 through 27, excuse me, -9-5, not removed from the city limits of Jasper for the extra
Come on, Phil.
Territory.
Come on, Bill, I don't think you can do it.
He's not feeling well.
Understood.
My throat.
Extraterritorial jurisdiction by the mobile homeowner or the property owner after receiving complaint notices per section 6-308 and given 60 days for removal shall be removed by the city after a hearing with the city council under the same procedures used by the removal of a dangerous building. And I'll read the list that I previously read. A. Dent May Sr., 950 Fred Street, PID 3689MH. Dent May Sr., 950 Fred Street, PID 36900, 1 house, 1 MH. Dent May Sr., Fred Street, street number not listed, PIO 36915-2, Mobile Homes Lot 15, Block 2, Garland Smith, 922-32.132 acres. Dent May Sr., 846 South Main Street, 2MH. Dent May Sr., 159 Calvin Street, -2MH. Dent May Sr., PID 1431-1570 Mayo Road. Dent May Sr., 722 Carter Street, MH. Dent May Sr., 106 and 108 Seal Street, 2MH. Edward Mays, 2075 Fletcher Street, PID 18577. William O. 3 and Santi Jones, 386 Olive Street, MH. Clinton Collins Jr., 1967 Bowie Street, MH. Herbert L. Barlow, 510 Dennis Drive, MH. Lily May and Little Estate, 1419 North Bowie Street, MH. PID 9366. Lily and John Colley, 242 East MLK Boulevard, MH. Wayne Noble, 315 Stewart Street, MH. Michael Ray Adams, 300 Stewart Street, MH. Sam Adams Estate, PID 10098. AB 158, THOS Green Track, 9.3 acres. Salvador and Tina Majares, 522 Birch Street, MH. Wendell Smith, 1878 and 188 Jones Drive, MH. Morris Boatner, attention, Cecil Boatner, Jones Street, street number not listed, PID 50625, MH, lot 16, Stewart Art CE 1972, 12 times 44801 987.16 acres. Glenn Betty Jr., attention Teresa Collins, 1279 East MLK Boulevard, mobile home. Carl Stratton, 1243 Leela Street, MH. Michael Ray Adams, Hopkins Drive, street number not listed, PID 1036 2MH, AB2 J&O Bevel, 12 by 44, 2 MHs, 397, 310.258 acres. So I know that was a mouthful, but we did spend a lot of time doing this to make sure that we gave everybody proper notice that this was all done by the books. The reason we're putting it all on the record is just because we want to make sure that we're not skipping any steps or leaving any stone unturned. So we, Jeremy, this is something that they'd asked me to help them with, and we wanted to make sure that we followed everything procedurally as much as we could. So that's a reason for the long dissertation we just gave.
Thanks for doing that.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Questions, discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed unanimously.
Thank you all. I think you're really gonna see an improvement in a lot of these neighborhoods and cleaning up some of those properties. And Derek and Brandon, it's been a lot of work, as you can tell from your packets this week. It's a lot of work, a lot of man hours, and a lot of people involved, including Liz on the phone with Billy. So I appreciate all y'all's questions and being able to bring this to y'all.
All right, and at this time, at 7:17, we're going into close this session, going to executive session.